Commuters have not been spared from the pinch of the rising cost of living. Transport Minister Filipe MBALULA met with the SANTACO leadership to discuss this issue as well. And this comes at the back of the fuel price increase that we saw this week, which has left quite a lot of motorists unhappy. Let's speak now to Abner, Tsebe, who's the SANTACO's president, and Theo, who's the National Taxi Alliance Spokesperson. Thank you so much to both of you for your time. I'll begin with you, Tsebe. I mean, commuters are beginning to feel the pinch. For someone who doesn't use a taxi, let's talk about what this means for a commuter at a practical level when we see such an increase in the rising, in petrol, but also at the same time, the cost of living.
Thank you very much, Bongiwe, and good evening to you and the viewers. This matter, I think it's one of the serious issues that we are facing now. It is not the first of its kind, and it's not going to be the last one. And I think now, from our side, we've engaged and looked into how are we going to resolve issues of increase in taxi fares, serious challenges to operators in general. So we've engaged with the ministry, and we've got an appointment to meet the Minister of Transport and the team to discuss a strategy or a way forward in terms of these challenges that are facing us. And remember that it is of importance that we don't lose focus on issues that are still outstanding. We've got a number of issues that are still outstanding and affecting our members in crisis like this. But remember, this one is a global issue. And it needs us to be united with our sister association to come up with one voice to strategize as to how are we going to get
all right. I'll get to those issues in just a moment. I'd like the team to just look at your line a little bit. We keep losing you. Malele, let me come to you. We'll look at, the pressure that quite a lot of consumers are talking about, but let's talk about it at, a commuter level as well as the industry. This pressure is really making things, difficult, given the fact that there's still, operators who are still trying to recover from the impact of COVID-19 and the lockdowns.
Good evening to you and to the viewers. Yes, indeed. Just when we thought that we were beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel out of COVID-19, frustrations, then voila, we now have these geopolitical, issues kicking in and pushing the price of fuel to record highs. These are indeed unprecedented times, and we do really appreciate that we are a community-based, business, and we need to be very, very, circumspect and sensitive, when dealing with issues of taxi fares. But the way in which input costs have pressurized our margins, it's actually unavoidable that we need to really adjust these prices, given the fact that we now have commuters who are on a daily basis beginning to lose their vehicles through repossessions because of them not being able to meet their monthly financial obligations. Yes, indeed, we are under immense pressure, and something has to kick in.
And I'll stay with you when it comes then to this pressure that you talk about from the operators' point of view. Let's talk about the pressure on the commuters as well, because you are also at the heart of the community business. What does it look like for them at a practical level?
Look, much as we would want to empathize with our commuters, you would remember that we are a business. So every business needs to show a profit. A business without a profit, that business will go under. Let us also put in, government into this fray, because it is government's responsibility to ensure that its citizenry moves from point A to point B through an affordable, public transport system. So it is about time that government came in and took its rightful position.
I'm going to ask you what that intervention looks like for the National Taxi Alliance. Let me go to Tsebe. I'm made aware that his line is a bit better now. Tsebe, I hope your line is better now. I'm listening to Mr. Malele. He talks about the fact that this is a business. It has to make profits. That is the reality of the situation. But how do you begin to balance between straining the commuters, but also at the same time to ensure that the operators themselves do not lose their vehicles because they are also operating at a loss possibly?
As we stand right now, it is not our choice to bring this pressure to our commuters, but I think it is important that commuters, government must kick in and to make sure that we are on the same page to assist the same commuters. And in terms of the repossession, it's obviously we are suffering loss of a lot of members losing their vehicles, and we are also engaging with the banks to come up with a way forward as to how are we going to assist. And then the operating license issue as well is a challenge, but we'll come to that once we've met with the minister to bring all our frustrations on the table.
Tsebe, I hope your line gets better. Let's talk about the impact on the sector once more and more of these taxis are taken by the banks because their owners can simply no longer pay. What impact does this have on the sector?
It is a serious impact. It brings a serious impact.
All right, Malele. All right.
As I'm saying, our programs in terms of going forward.
I'm going to ask you to.
Am I audible?
Please start again. Now you're audible.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on a second. I'm going to ask the team to try and get an improved line with you. Malele, I'll come to you with that very question. What is the impact on the industry when you see more and more operators losing their taxis? Talk to us about, at a practical level, what does this impact look like?
Livelihoods have been affected. You would appreciate that the taxi industry supports or rather creates 400,000 direct and indirect employment opportunities. With the state of unemployment in the country, this can only exacerbate the situation, and a lot of people would go hungry, would be jobless. People would actually be blackmailed. Their credit ratings and values would actually be diminished. So it is very, very serious, to that effect, that something drastic has to happen. It's actually hitting very hard into our very bottom lines. Because if you look at the rand value part, especially in the petrol-propelled vehicles, this translates to about 6,000 rands plus per month that we need to fork out. And on diesel-propelled vehicles, we're talking about 3,025 rands extra of what you currently are doing. So it is quite a challenge and a very negative impact for that matter.
And you keep calling for this intervention. What does it look like?
Well, the intervention, what we actually envisage as the only solution available to us at this point in time, it's the review of taxes and the levies on fuel. Really, it's a no-brainer that outside countries, or rather neighboring countries, buy fuel from us and they retail that in their own spaces at a much lesser price, and yet we have been hit very hard with taxes and levies. And you read from time to time about the mismanagement of these, funds. And it breaks our heart as it hits us, very, very hard and driving us out of business.
And Tsebe, I hope you're back now. We were talking about, some of the things that you say are outstanding when it comes to the industry and how you want them to be addressed. When you go back then to the meeting that you say you're also waiting for again with the minister, what would be your top points in order to be able to ensure that this industry somehow gets some kind of reprieve? Tsebe, I'm not sure if you heard me. I wanted to say, for you to tell us and the viewers that what does, your agenda look like when you go back to that meeting that you're waiting for with the minister? Because we've listened to Malele talk about the impact that it's having at a practical level on the commuters, on the operators, and how difficult things are going to be going forward if, the taxis are not reduced, and also an extended review of the fuel levy as we've seen it, because it's going to come to an end soon. So what is top of your agenda as you go back to that meeting with the minister?
We've got a couple of issues that we wanted to raise with the minister, but I think it will be proper that we announce that once our meeting is set. For now, I'm unable to tell exactly the agenda items as stated by the provinces. But after the meeting with the minister, I will be able then to put them forward to our members.
And very briefly then, Tsebe, one of the things that, of course, the commuters are complaining about is to say that you should be able to give us, some reprieve, don't increase the prices, but at the same time, they understand you're running a business. What do you say to someone tonight who's watching, who uses taxis, who says that, it's really difficult, I'm taking a strain, and I really would like some kind of, breather here? What do you say to your commuters tonight?
There's an outstanding agenda between the taxi industry and the minister in terms of the subsidizing the commuter. I think that will be one of the relief that might assist the operators.
All right, let me thank you both for your time. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but surely, as you say then, that there are tough economic times ahead, for the industry if really an urgent solution is not reached. Let me thank you both for your time. That was Abner Tsebe, SANTACO President, and the National Taxi Alliance Spokesperson, Theo Malele.